Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene, where empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world. My name is Jennifer Hackett. My pronouns are she and her, and I am delighted to serve as the ministerial intern for this church. With me today are board member Frankie Hill, Linda Krenicki, our worship associate, Suzanne Giordano, our collaborative pianist, Mitch Davies, our director of music, his partner and singer, Kelly Sweeney, and behind the scenes working tech is the amazing Kat Johnson. Welcome especially to any visitors we have among us. There's always a place for you here at our table. We want to reach out to you next week and welcome you personally. So if you haven't done so, please fill out the visitor form so that we can say hello. And if you've been with us for a long time, we are glad you are still with us here today. We have a few announcements this morning. One is just a reminder to let you know of the offering that happens after the service every Sunday is our Compassionate Connection Circle. It's an opportunity for you to speak what's on your heart, what's on your mind in a safe environment. There's no commitment, no registration, there's no advice. It's just being held in love. So they'll gather in a Zoom room right afterwards for 15 minutes or more as needed. Anyone who wishes to share their joy or sorrow is welcome to come into the circle of care and compassion in confidentiality. It's asked of anyone who enters the room that confidentiality is a part of that time together. Second up, our once a month Soul Matters small group ministry is looking at the theme of the month this Tuesday at 7:30. All are welcome. It doesn't matter if you're in a small group ministry already, although if you weren't able to go get into one in time this year, this is a good way to look at what small group ministry might feel like. So everyone is invited. It's different people every month, and it's always thoughtful and rich. Boy, now more than ever, we need the UUA's Side with Love campaign, which kicks off every year on MLK Day and runs through Valentine's Day. They have daily inspirations for us. It's being dropped into the chat for you to check that out and see about doing Side with Love personal things every day this next 30 days. Our superhero auction live for registration. The link went live yesterday morning. So check out the super catalog and place your bids now through Saturday at 8 p.m. The auction culminates between 7 and 8 p.m. on Saturday with fun-filled live Zoom event with entertainment, superhero hijinks, and a free raffle. So check out the link in the chat for doing that. And speaking of superheroes, today, during this truly multi-generational service, I have the honor to announce that one of our esteemed elders has accomplished the incredible, a feat of connecting all of us during a time of disconnection. Miss Eileen Adey has written correspondence to all 348 people enlisted in the directory. This heroic effort will be celebrated today with a gift set of stationery to be delivered to you by your minister. We love you, we appreciate you, and we thank you, Eileen. We hereby crown you the superhero of correspondence and connection. And lastly, we are delighted to have board member and secretary of the board, Frankie Hill, joining us today. Thanks, Frankie, for being here.
Thanks, Jennifer. And good morning, everyone. On behalf of myself and the board, I am dropping in tandem with the other board members who you've seen over the last few weeks to put some faces to names, to say hello, and to encourage you all to get in touch with us as you see fit. You can reach us through the church website. Our email addresses are on there. Most of us are in the directory. And perhaps most excitingly, one Friday evening each month from 6 to 7 p.m. And now which week that is sometimes varies, so check your weekly connections and check the calendar, the church calendar on the website for exactly which week it is. But Board members will be hosting the board social hour on Zoom. And I have not had the privilege of attending this yet, but I have heard from everyone who has attended that it's been very, very fun. And it's a good chance for you to ask questions, bring your thoughts and feelings that you've wanted to share with us, and hang out with each other. And basically that's it, except for one last very important thing, which is that no one on the board, no one in the church staff, and none of our ministers will ever ask you to buy gift cards by email. So if you receive an email saying, oh no, you have to buy a gift card, blah, 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 email me for this, it's a scam. And likewise, an email with vague injunctions like, contact me right away, that sort of thing. That's a scam, it's not us. Anyway, thanks, Jennifer.
And thanks for being with us, Frankie. And we're lucky to have Frankie to be able to stay with us today for the remainder of the service as a bonus worship associate. Thanks.
I invite you now to find your chalice or make one with your hands. As we light this chalice flame, symbol and beacon of our faith, may our lives be lit with the joys, challenges, and comforts of that flame. May we carry this tiniest of flames into our everyday living.
Here's our call to worship by the Reverend Teresa I. Soto. It's called "To the People Who Have Mistaken Freedom for Liberation." To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know, not that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine eating entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise.
Our meditation this morning is called Rest in the Peace of This Moment by Chris Cervantes. Rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment. Be at ease. Look up at the stars and down at the grass. Imagine the stars looking back at you over the years and centuries across oceans of empty space. Imagine the feel of the grass on your bare feet and feel it, dry and crunchy, soft and supple. Rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment. Dream for a little while of young people and young animals, innocent in the way of the young, careless and uncaring, accepting everything in their newness. Dream for a little while of the elders and the wisdom that they have to give. The voices that say to you, it is right and proper to rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment. Be still at the turning axis of the world and let go of the long unspooling of history, sorrow and joy, and birth and death, and all the long years in between. Rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment.
The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I do not know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, or too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And now, let's hear from a multi-generational sampling of our congregation sharing their wild and precious lives.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be playing Secret Student today. And yeah. Well, what I do is from wild and precious life. Right now, what I'm doing is reaching for is playing Little Mother on the guitar. Playing music is my passion. I love it. Playing music makes that spark inside me light up. Listening to music makes me think of songs I can write. When I grow up, I want to be a musician. I want to teach kids how to play. Music is how I express myself and share with the world to make it better. I believe every song has a story behind it. And when you know the story behind a song, it makes it that more special. Dwayne Owen of the Allman Brothers died in 1971. Dwayne passed away in a motorcycle accident 2 weeks after he recorded it at the age of 21, and never played it live himself. For many years, people have tried to play this song with a guitar and could not figure it out. So it was actually recorded on 2 guitars. Dickie bet Dwayne had a dream, and he was in a cemetery and saw a tombstone that said Little Martha, and it stuck with him, and he recorded Little Martha, beautiful acoustic song. Now I'm going to play this on my acoustic for you. Well, part of it at least. That's all I know. Bye.
My name is Rhiannon, and this is my presentation. What will I do with my one wild and precious life? This is a question I've thought about often, and one I have been asked many times. But it's a complicated question. I have many interests. Some I've had almost since birth, some I've only recently gained, and some that I've only recently begun again after forgetting about them for years. The one thing, in particular, that has always fascinated me is environmental science. Our world is rapidly changing, and while some change may seem to be for the better, that may only be the case for humans. Technology is advancing, but with every new invention comes the need for more resources. The need for more resources leads to the destruction of ecosystems, and then to pollution that will only come back to haunt us. Forests are being cut down, oceans fill with trash, and glaciers are melting. And because of this, animals, plants, and all life on Earth are threatened. There are many ways that one person could make a difference. However, at my age, it's much harder for someone to make their voice heard among the opinions of adults. Youth around the world are constantly finding new ways to speak up for our planet, and by way of some of my other interests, I hope to be part of this force. I've always been interested in interior design and architecture, which happen to be part of the construction industry that makes up roughly 40% of the world's carbon emissions. If we were to begin using eco-friendly material and powering homes with solar energy, as an example, we could cut this number down significantly. I'm also intrigued by careers in entertainment, such as theater or becoming a musician. If I were to begin writing plays or songs about what we as humans can do to reverse the effects of our factories, it would make a huge impact. While advancements are being made almost daily in the pursuit of renewable energy, our world continues to suffer. One day, I hope to be able to change that. I want to travel, to save animals, and to help plants and forests regrow. I want to learn how to harness the power of our sun to power our machines. I want to design ways to desalinate ocean water so that every human being can have access to drinkable water. My generation will only grow and will continue to be faced with the problems created by those that came before us. With more people on the planet, there will come a need for more factories and more resources and more waste. If we continue these habits, our Earth will decay and become unsustainable. Now is our chance to learn how to make our world a better place so that the children of the future will have an Earth to grow up on. This is what I will do with my one wild and precious life.
Hello, friends. I miss seeing you all in person. And hello, not yet friends. I'm Eric. Each time I reflect on this summer day, I savor how the narrative dives deep into the details in a way that ultimately poses the broadest of questions. For me, close observation of the grasshopper itself doesn't evoke much. It turns out I'm not that fascinated with the observation of small creatures. But the perspective resonates with how I look at the movement of physical objects, the complexity of human personalities, the subtleties of governance, and in my work life, the layered interplay of complicated information systems. I sort of shrug about the grasshopper, but I connect deeply with the poem. One thing about me is that I'm neuroatypical. I've never been formally diagnosed, but my brain is certainly of the type now labeled attention deficit hyperactivity disorder inattentive. That's the set of behaviors professionals once called ADD, and I still use that term for myself. I mention this because the summer day offers a good entry point into what ADD means to me. Mary Oliver takes us on an excursion into the scope and scale of the grasshopper's world, but in many ways I am always there. In the sort of moment she describes, my ADD would already, all at once, be taking in the movements of the insect, the texture of the sugar, the smell of the grass. What she relates as a sequential experience arrives all at once in my mind, unavoidably jumbled. If I had to explain it, I could translate for the one thing at a time thinkers among us, but it comes to me all in a mad rush. I'm not neurologically equipped to consider my impressions in an order. None of this answers the question, of course. What will I do with my one wild and precious life? I'm getting there, I promise you. Just a few connections to make first. So, it's kind of exhausting to live in this brain of mine. I'm close to people whose situations are equally invisible, but would be far harder for me. I'm thinking of chronic pain, persistent physical fatigue, generalized anxiety. I'm grateful to be free of those kinds of things, but I do feel mentally worn out a lot of the time, largely because of the energy that goes into just sorting out all the stuff that my brain has decided to notice. Consequently, I spend a lot of time taking care of my brain. When I'm taking care of my brain, it looks different from how some people do it. Mindful idleness is seldom helpful for me because it leaves my brain free to pursue its most disruptive hobbies, like rehashing my to-do list. Instead, I usually use the sort of computer games that require focused thought, keeping my imaginary villagers alive, expanding my galactic empire or staving off the next zombie attack, carries the feeling of urgency that lets me focus for a bit. It helps me avoid spinning all night on things I cannot fix. Speaking of things I cannot fix, my ADD brain, somewhere along the way, began requiring that I notice the structures and patterns of injustice in our world. Once I knew a certain modest amount about politics, economics, sociology, trauma, and community, ADD opened a door I couldn't close. I believe our society's most vexing problems, poverty, climate change, disconnectedness, and so many others, it seems to me they're all solvable, or at least one day at a time addressable, and addressing them is a worthy way to spend any day. People dedicate themselves to causes for lots of different reasons and in lots of different ways. But for me, the motivation to act was largely a gift from ADD. Let me expand on that briefly. One of my volunteer gigs is with the Eugene Warming Center, holding a warm and safe space in the wee hours for some dozens of unhoused neighbors on the coldest nights of the year. Each interaction with a guest, or for that matter, those with fellow volunteers, bombards me with details I never went looking for. Body language suggests a history of abuse. A relationship with food paints a vivid picture of frequently missed meals. A spontaneously protective impulse implies the frequent need for mutual defense. Because I cannot avoid observing it all, thanks again, ADD, I am constantly reminded of how urgently our community needs this work done. That awareness makes it very easy for me to sacrifice some sleep or relaxation when Eugene is active. So what about my life, my indeterminate span of years? I'm going to keep taking care of myself, giving myself whatever grace I can summon to make myself believe that I deserve my downtime, that it too is time well spent. And with whatever I have left, I'll keep helping. I'll keep volunteering to shelter and feed my neighbors through Eugene and other community efforts, and doing whatever else I can to pile a little more weight on the everyone deserves dignity side of the scale. Thinking about all this, I flashed to a time last year when a friend, frustrated, asked their social media circle, "If the Orange Menace wins again, what will we do?" After pondering, I replied, "We will do the same thing we will do if Biden wins or anybody else. We will rise together, and we will fight for justice, for fairness, for dignity." After all, electoral politics can only advance justice and equity so far. From there, decent, responsible people must act. So there it is. What will I do with my one wild and precious life? I will join with others of conscience, and I will rise, and I will fight. You know, as best I can.
Hi, I'm Crystal Clack, and I'm here to talk about what The Summer Day by Mary Oliver means to me. And to summarize it in 3 to 5 minutes is pretty much impossible, as I've been struggling to pull this together for the last few days and make the recording. I realize the more I think I know, the less I know, but I have a tendency to make things harder than they should be too. So what I do want to share is something that helps me live my one wild and precious life and helps me embrace each day, each moment as it comes, regardless if it's good or bad, is that each day is a new day. I can start fresh. I can start again. If I remind myself to embrace the kindness that I see in others, embrace kindness that's within my heart, that I can practice compassion and empathy. And maybe that's just listening to someone. Maybe that's offering a kind word, something that's authentic and real. I realize more than ever that it's important to stand up for justice and stand up for what's right. To force myself, who is an introvert, but I can put on my extrovert face when I need to talk to strangers, to talk to people and see how they're doing and what's going on in their world. Ask for help and accept help. The most difficult thing for me last year was to stop and ask for help when Scott and I were evacuated from the holiday farm fire, is to ask for help and take it, because I'm always the giver. I always like to give and do things for others, and so does Scott. So being on the other end was very humbling. Listen with your heart. Listen with your whole heart. Offer hope. Offer kindness, understanding. Work for a common good. Love well. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Lead by example. Lead by example. Use your experiences to make you a better person. Learn from your mistakes. We live out in the forest, and I have a hummingbird that visits me every day. I have a little hummingbird feeder on the window, and that little bird comes, sits on the feeder and drinks the nectar, and I watch the fine detail in that beautiful, beautiful creature. And I'm just mesmerized of how things come together, of how the birds at a certain time of day will come out of nowhere and eat all of the seed that I put on the ground, or just how things magically work. Life at 50 is beautiful. It's a beginning, it's a start. It's the 5th level of a Mario Brothers game. What can I say? It's a chance to be real, to embrace my inner child, if you will. A little girl who loved the mountains, a little girl who loved to play in the dirt and the sand and the mud and the water. Embrace all that's real and be real. That's what I want to do with my one wild and very precious life. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Bob Moss. We've all been going through some difficult times for the last 10 months with the COVID-19 virus. Hopefully that's going to be on the upswing when we're able to get our vaccinations. But I'm here to tell you about my life. I've had a wonderful career in broadcast and television news, and then on into telecommunications. At a very young age, it was instilled in me that when something bad happens, think twice about it before you really put your thumb on it as an imprint in your life that's just terrible. I was taught that if I look carefully enough, out of everything that's bad that's come out of my life, there's been something good that's been there. I just had to find it and look for it. I had an 18-year-old daughter that was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Sherry is the mother of one now. She's 47 years of age. She's got a wonderful career in managing clinical trials, and she's married to a wonderful man, Michael. I was one of 5 men that was lost at sea in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm here today to tell you about it. My first wife, Carlene, was diagnosed at 37 with COPD and emphysema. She passed away in the year 2001 after struggling with the disease for many, many years. She was 58 years of age. Not long after her death, I met Carolyn, my present wife. And out of the tragedy of losing Carlene, what a wonderful thing to happen to me. A second soulmate in my life. I could go on and on about the things that have occurred in my life and the good things that have resulted from some of these tragedies. And I can only tell you that when things happen, I can promise you that if you take the time to look for it, as I did in virtually every circumstance, something good always came from it. Good day.
Today I have a simple prayer for you. May the tender offerings of our hearts be held within the hearts of this community. May it be so.
As we gather the offering today, I want to remind you that, or let you know, that this January, our community offering will be given to Carry It Forward, a Eugene nonprofit that provides direct services to the unhoused in our area. Carry It Forward provides everything from sleeping bags to vocational training. Thank you for supporting Carry It Forward with your offering this month. If you are ever having trouble making donations by following the slides posted, please let us know exactly what went wrong and on what kind of device the problem occurred by writing to accounting@uueugene.org. However you are called to give this morning, we are grateful for your support. The offering will now be gratefully received. May these offerings of our lives be transformed, that lives may be transformed. And now join us in singing hymn number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song.
Our benediction today is by Donna Markova. I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of catching or falling on fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance to live, so that which came to me as a seed goes to the next as a blossom. And that which came to me as a blossom goes on as fruit.